San Diego Unveiled is a talk show solely for women.
It represents women from all over San Diego.
They come to our show to express their love and passion for what they do.
It's just a lot of inspiration, and
our voices are often sheltered and shunned, but San Diego Unveiled puts volume behind us and lets us be heard and seen in ways that has never been done in San Diego. Welcome back to San Diego Unveiled. I'm your host, Anissa O'Kinsey. Today we speak with a veteran who continues to work with the military through support programs for the transitioning wounded, ill, and injured special ops members coming back to civilian life. Please welcome Lorie Warchol.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. It's been a beautiful, beautiful afternoon, and you're absolutely radiant,
Oh,
darling.
thank you. I'm in the presence of somebody else who's also very gorgeous, so thank you for having me.
How did you become involved in helping the transitioning service members?
Well, it's been quite a journey. I've been blessed to have been with the military, also worked with the military, and been married to the military for the majority of my life. So I have a great passion in supporting the service members that I consider my brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. I am extremely, extremely blessed to work with the elite forces of that. And I worked on a task force the past 3 years. And what we did was we built programs for psychological resilience, for spiritual resilience, human performance. And so then as that task force kind of dwindled down and we were able to secure a lot of those programs, I was asked to move out to San Diego and take on a new role. So I'm really excited about the new job that I have now and being able to truly help them go from, the mindset of being in the military and having a primary mission to transitioning into the civilian world where it's a little bit different. They're dealing with a completely different animal.
But you have an inside view of what that's like, the transition and everything, and you have a deeper understanding than what most people may have of it, who think, oh, they just go and then they come back. But there's so much mentally and physically that goes into that, correct?
Yeah, it's a completely different mindset when you're in the military. So being able to help them acclimate themselves from having a role, a mission, knowing exactly what their job is from day to day, and then going into another type of jungle, should you say, where now all of a sudden they have to learn how to be a civilian, how to dress, how to act. When you have a Navy SEAL who walks into a room and he has a trident on him, everybody in the world knows the accomplishments that he's had. He is a Navy SEAL, and they know that. When you walk into a boardroom and you have a business suit on, nobody knows what your background is. Nobody knows what you've been through, what you've seen, the training that you've had. So it's trying to fully instill that relevance that somebody that has had a true mission and has a ethos that they live with to help them transition into another type of a career where maybe they need to find their relevance again and make sure that they feel valued and productive in that world.
How would you say that your mindset has changed throughout your journey with the military? I know you were Navy.
I was Navy, but I've been blessed to be able to work with all the services, especially in my role. So we focus on Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. As a mother and as a wife and as a full-time working individual and as a veteran, it's really exciting to be able to have the opportunity to adapt and change in multiple environments. You are blessed because we lived overseas for 8 years, so my children have the ability to be able to have stories of being in Paris and riding camels and different perspectives, but they also have the ability to change and adapt so rapidly. Not only that, but in the military, because you are only stationed or you live in one area for a certain period of time, you truly build strong relationships, you bond very quickly, and so I am blessed to have family and friends all over the world that I consider my brothers and sisters that are military. And as we all transition and we change into new locations when we move, there's always a period where you're very unsure, you're very unstable. It takes about 6 months to truly acclimate. So for us, even as we transition our service members, we have to understand that they're going to go through all kinds of different changes
and they'll make it.
And I mean, it's exciting. You're out and you're free and you don't have to report anymore, and it's so exciting. And then all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, now what do I do? Right. And then there's the money aspect, you know, and then there's the uncertainty of really, how do I translate what I've been doing? I've been knocking down doors and, you know, shooting bad guys for the past 12 years.
And now I'm running to the store to get milk
Right.
and eggs, you know.
Exactly, you know. I mean, so it's really a different mindset. So it's just being there to help support them and give them, you know, a body and an outlet and somebody that they can truly come to and you know, ask questions and find resources and programs. And I think that that's what anybody needs. It's not that we have to hold somebody's hand, but it's just having that person there that you know is there.
System,
yeah. And that's what's really brilliant about our community.
Would you ever say that it's difficult? What's the most difficult aspect of this endeavor that you feel, that you've experienced?
As far as transition?
Yeah, or as far as helping people transition.
I think it's trying to figure out what exactly they want to do. For our people, they go into the military and they grow up wanting to be a Green Beret. They grow up wanting to be a Ranger. You know, that's their
goals,
everything.
their
That's their
dream,
world. So some of my guys, you know, they get injured, whether it's a gunshot wound or an amputation or, you know, head trauma or something, and they're unable to be able to go operational again. For them, that's a massive identity crisis because that's everything
That's
that
who they were.
That's who they
built
are.
themselves
That's
to be.
everything they wanted. So it's trying to give them a sense of belonging, trying to make them understand that there are other ways that they can still serve
And fulfill themselves
Right.
as
And-
their dream.
Yeah. And how do we really get them to understand that? And sometimes that's a hard process for somebody who's going through, you know, a lot, because our guys have been through a lot. They've seen a
Absolutely.
lot. They've been on a lot of deployments. But it's not only the service member that we have to worry about, it's the families.
Absolutely.
The spouses and the children serve right along with that military member.
Absolutely.
The job that they do is just as important, and the mission that they have is just as important. And
So you really get the families involved with in their program. What's the regime of the program? Is each program tailored to the specific service person, the serviceman?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then the
'Cause-
process, what would you say the process is like?
Well, typically the process is so it depends. It depends on whether or not they are getting separated because of retirement, and maybe throughout their career they've encountered some disabilities, whether it's jumping out of planes or maybe they had a gunshot wound, but they're not truly disabled. You know, I mean, they can still function. Maybe it's PTS, so it's a silent wound that nobody really sees, you know, or invisible wound. So it's really getting with that service member, talking to the family and the service member, interviewing them, assessing them, figuring out what it is that they want to do, and then from there, building their resume, you know, building their emotional intelligence, and trying to figure out exactly how we can help them find out what it is that they want to do, you know, where they want to live.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody asks, you know, where are you from?
Yeah.
Well, and any military family that you ask, they're going to say, do you mean where I just moved from or where I grew up?
Yeah.
Because we don't
You're
have.
from everywhere, pretty
We're from
much.
everywhere, you know? So, you know, is it somewhere where there's family? Maybe their family where they grew up. Is it maybe they want to stay where they are because they have a great support network with the family? So it's truly figuring out exactly where they want to be, what they want to do from there. And then from that process is, you know, finding jobs, networking, and then of course placing them. Maybe they want to go back to school, and there's a lot of great universities that have, you know, fantastic veteran programs.
Absolutely.
You know, maybe it's they want to do a peer network program. Maybe they want to work for a benevolent organization. You know, whatever it is. So just helping them identify what it is they want to do, and then putting them in touch with the institutions and the organizations that we have developed relationships with. Now, if we have service members that are going through a medical evaluation board. So maybe they're going to get medically disabled, so they have to go through a lot of VA appointments, and they have a lot of medical stuff happening.
Yeah.
From there, what we try to do, and one of the biggest opportunities that I have, especially in this area, and what I'm looking for, is organizations and businesses that are willing to do internships and fellowships with our guys. So bring them in unpaid while they're still on active duty,
Yeah.
and give them some resume experience, you know, teach them some skills that maybe, you know,
Valuable to them in the
valuable to
future.
them, right. And then bring them in for like 4 months, 4 to 6 months or whatever, and then potentially either hire them or, you know, refer them to another corporation that's able to help
That's
them.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
very in-depth and very personal. I
Yeah.
like that. And you also have a little push-up challenge going on for the unfortunate event that there's suicide is a huge problem with veterans, and every 22 veterans commit
day.
suicide a day, and that's very powerful. So tell us about your push-up challenge that you have going
Well, I don't
on.
know. So it's been going around Facebook and stuff for a while. Unfortunately, I had a friend of mine who just committed suicide this week.
I'm so sorry to hear
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
awful.
It is awful. Our community has seen, the whole military community has seen a lot this past, 16 years that we've been really at war. And, it's really unfortunate that there's a lot of people out there that are challenged with things that...
They feel that's too heavy for them to
Yeah.
burden, and they don't want to burden anyone else with it. But
Right.
that's why you are here to save the day.
Well, I don't know if I could save the day, but I think that the greatest thing that if anybody could get out of anything is, take time for each other. Like, stop for a minute. When somebody says they're not doing so good, or even if somebody says that they're doing great and they're smiling and they're happy and they're wonderful, like Ed was, he was always happy.
Yeah.
Is really look at what's really going on with that family dynamic, pay attention. Friends should be there as true friends. And I know that we're all busy in our lives with social media and everything, but put it down for a minute, have a conversation.
Yeah.
And,
Connect
you don't,
with people.
well, you just never know. I mean, small things are always have the most impact. Everybody thinks it has to be some big grand gesture,
Yeah.
but the reality of it is just stopping for a minute and just giving somebody
Taking
a hug.
that person
and,
in fully in their fullest extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just be aware of the signs, and I mean, unfortunately, I don't think that suicide will ever go away. I think that there's a lot more to it, but the reality of it is there's some of them that we can change, and there's some that we can stop. And just being aware of it. So there's a challenge that's going on. It's all over Facebook.
Yeah.
I've done it once before. This will be my second time. And it's 22 push-ups a day for 22 days. And you do it just to honor not one particular veteran, not one particular military member, but the community as a whole, even in the civilian sector, because there's suicides out there as well.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is our veterans and our military families, they serve. They have a great role that they play in this world to keep us safe. And I have, of course, a very special place in my heart for them.
Absolutely.
And so I just think that it's really important that we're just aware of it, and that people, truly look at it and say, what, this is a problem. It's a big problem, and invisible wounds are really, really hard to see.
They're just as painful and as potent as
Well, and sometimes
fleshy
more.
wounds. Yeah.
Sometimes more, because the treatment for them could be a little bit longer, and sometimes somebody's, you get your arm cut off. Well, nowadays you can replace it with great, prosthetics and all that kind of stuff. But you get half your brain blown up, and, sometimes that takes a little bit longer to heal, especially if it's, damaged with, PTSD or traumatic brain injury, TBI, or any of those kind of things. So there's a large problem out there, and there's a large depression problem, and relevance of when our service members get out, they forget who they are because they're lost and they don't have a mission. So if you see people, I wish people would just smile more and just be more genuine and ask people how they're doing and really mean it.
Exactly. Well, I'm so honored to meet a woman on a mission like yourself.
Oh,
Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show and sharing your time with us. 22 veterans, just like Lorie said, a day, commit suicide. That time is now to start giving back to the brave men who have fought for our freedom. Have a safe and classy weekend, San Diego.